Well, this particular funny that I'm going to share with you has personal meaning, and I'll tell you at the end of it why, because it gave me an idea for something I may want to do. So a man walked into a bank and said he wanted to borrow $200 for 6 months. The loan officer asked what kind of collateral he had. The man said, well, I have a Rolls Royce, here's the keys, keep it until the loan's paid off. 6 months later, the man returned to the bank, repaid the $200 plus $10 in interest, and takes back his Rolls Royce. The loan officer said, sir, if I may ask, why would a man who drives a Rolls Royce need to borrow $200? The man replied, I had to go to Europe for 6 months, and where else could I park a Rolls for $10? And I don't have a Rolls, but I've got a RV, and now that that might be a way to park it, because I can pay that parking bill when it comes in from the storage place is like, So anyway, just a thought. So today I'm going to talk about congruency, spiritual congruency. I know that's one of your favorite words, Tika. But I had recently just been hearing from lots of people dealing with more issues. I mean, it's just like and I don't think it's necessarily just because I'm sort of in a position to hear people's stuff. I think we can all relate to it, you know. I think that there's a lot of stuff coming up still, and I know I say this often. And, there's friends of ours, people who come to our center who are dealing with major health issues, financial issues, relationship issues. Also, just recently my brother-in-law was diagnosed, well no, he hadn't been recently diagnosed, but something that he's been dealing with has come up in a big way. And so it's, and I hold him in the perfection that hold each and every person here as well. Now last night I was talking to Ethel Kreitz, who many of you all know, and she was here for Aurora's beautiful piano music and Brian's crop circle presentation. And Ethel was a little distraught, and she said that Aurora had fallen, and she had just bought 4 kittens. 4 kittens, can you imagine? And she bought 4 kittens and tripped and fell over one of them and hit her face, and so she was a little upset. Aurora was feeble and hurting last night, and then Ethel said that her former husband, the father of her children, had a motorcycle accident in West Virginia, and he's in intensive care, most likely not going to survive. And so, everything was pretty raw. Best friend's ill, her former husband, father of her children, is in transition, and she got teary, and she said, I guess the statement she made is that it's hard to practice what you believe when it's right here in front of you. And, even though I think we can all testify to that in some degree, I think we all know the truth, and we know the power of God to heal or love to heal. We know that. I think we get it at some level, but when it comes in our face, it's sometimes not that easy. But that doesn't mean that we have to give up on it. It really just means something to recognize and move through and move past. And so, we have to really examine our beliefs. We have to be, if you really want to know what your beliefs are, you just look at what's staring you in the face at the moment. That's really where your beliefs lie. And that's not a bad thing. That's just something to recognize and make another choice and move on. And when we can't see the miracle for ourselves, which is when we're in the throes of it, of whatever we're in, sometimes we just don't have it within us at that time. So the greatest gift we can give to a brother or a sister is to see for them what they can't see for themselves. I know that being surrounded by so many wonderful healers and spiritual teachers and authors and all sorts of things, sometimes you think, well, gosh, they write books about this and they can't even manage it themselves. Or they give lectures all over the world on this, and what's the matter? What's up with that? And it's not from judgment, it's just an observation, truly, because I'll include myself. I mean, many things I say I haven't mastered yet, but I'm aware of it, because I'm always just looking at it and saying, okay, you got a little off track here, pull yourself in. Well, President Carter, who I just love, Jimmy Carter, he's a Baptist, and but he's got very open-hearted views on Christianity and his Baptist faith. And I think he's shaking things up. He's a Sunday school teacher. He's 91 years old. I just read somewhere that he hadn't healed himself, but he gives credit to medical marijuana for healing his cancer. And so, he's putting stuff out there that you usually don't hear in the Baptist pulpit. And so good for him, right? Somebody has to do it. And I don't think too many people in the church are going to kick him out. But he said that he recently blamed much of the world's violence on spiritual or religious hypocrisy. On June 21st, he told the annual Human Rights Defenders Forum at the Carter Center that we're at a turning point in history, choosing between peace and human suffering. He spoke about global violence, and more specifically, violence against women. As a conservative Baptist who still teaches a weekly Sunday school class, he may surprise people with his criticism of religion. He says what's needed more than ever is leadership, not fear. We need to find leadership that steers us away from fear and fosters greater confidence in the inherent goodness of humanity. He said he's spoken out the best he could about the abuse of religious scriptures to promote forms of violence, including the death penalty, discrimination and abuse of women, and unjust resort to warfare. And he said this is direct in violation with his own faith and other great religions, which are founded on love, kindness to strangers, not judging others, justice, and resolving disputes in the least violent manner. And he goes on to say that we need to amplify the voices of peacemakers and human rights defenders. And, what a statement. Somewhere along the line, I think we can all say that we've been guilty of this to some degree of, using our beliefs to justify whatever. And we'll find that quote or that scripture or that statement to support whatever we feel like we need to support at the moment. But I think where he's leading us is let's focus on the love, and let's focus on the being the peacemakers and service and oneness and unity. That's really what I believe the core, the common thread that flows through all spiritual teachings is love, peace, and forgiveness. And so, the Course in Miracles, I love the way it teaches us. It says, it doesn't prescribe behavior. A lot of times you might go to another church or follow a belief system that gives you commandments for behavior, or says, you can't go out on Friday nights, no dancing, women have to wear skirts, you can't drink coffee, you can't whatever, on and on. Some say we have to be a vegetarian, some say you got to do this. And the Course says it's not a change in behavior, but rather a change of mind. Change of heart really is what we're all seeking. And we get caught up in these belief systems, which actually I believe keep us stuck in separation. I think that love is all-encompassing, all-accepting, looking beyond our judgment of self and judgment of others, seeing the divinity in ourselves and each other. When we do that, we're able to amplify what our brothers and sisters can't see for themselves. We can see the miracle that maybe a person who is struggling can't see for themselves at the moment. Well, I really do, this is not new news, but I just think it bears repeating, this was actually an article that was sent to me, and it says that it was an article from Lessons from Miracle Doctors, which I love that, And it says, John Barron explained how our thoughts can affect diseases at the DNA level, which we now know happens, not by altering our DNA, but by turning the genes on and off. So, we can affect everything with our minds. I mean, that is so powerful that, if you see people who come in and they're very feeble, very sick, very much in pain, and yet we're just literally a thought away from perfection and wholeness, truly. And it's a matter of faith and trust in the process. And I know this to be true, and I don't take it lightly. I think that we have so much available to us that we haven't even tapped into. We can change our DNA literally, truly. We can transform a terminal situation into perfect health, truly. I believe that. So we can take a situation from a poor relationship or a low bank account and turn that around just with a thought. It's just up to us to buy into that belief system and own that for ourselves. The Course of Miracles, it says there is no level of difficulty in miracles. Truly, everything holds all the meaning that we give it, period. If I believe that this situation is terminal, then chances are it's going to be. So we have to continue to focus on the truth, not the illusion. And the more we do that, the more we can lift that up. Totally believe it. Does it mean that we don't take the magic pill or eat vegetarian or eat steak or whatever? It doesn't really matter except our belief in that. Being congruent with our beliefs, following that inner guidance. That's why I love what the Course says. The Holy Spirit meets us exactly where we are and will lead us to that perfect place for healing, truly. Well, Carolyn Mace, who I just love so much, she's just such a wise woman. She says, whether you strike out on the path of consciousness in order to heal yourself or to engage more profoundly in the matters of spirit, one way of describing your goal is to say that you want to become more congruent with your beliefs. Congruency can take many forms, but in essence, you are congruent when your beliefs match up with your everyday actions and your spiritual practice. And this statement here, it says, say what you believe and believe what you say. Act on your belief and follow through on guidance that comes from inner reflections or the Holy Spirit. In this way, the body, mind, and soul finally come into alignment that allows for the harmony of grace to flow through you as naturally as your breath. You maintain congruence by honoring the spiritual truths that you have consciously made a part of your inherent interior life. Truth is its own monitoring device. That is, you can never lie to yourself about compromising truth. Your biology itself will show signs of stress when you become incongruent with truth. Part of us realizes that acknowledgement of a belief, whether private or public, stands as an official commitment to it, if only before our conscience, our own conscience. So, the stress. Stress has been my big thing to overcome. And all I can say is I'm way aware of it, and I'm way better with it. And I'm choosing to continue to lighten up with that as well. I think that stress can take many forms. Ultimately it's fear, and it's defensiveness, and it's judgment, it's expectation, whatever it is, wanting the world to be different. If we get into our hearts and acceptance, stress just melts away, and it's so much more peaceful and wonderful. Yoga is a great way to overcome stress. Breath work, being together here. It's hard to feel stressful in here on a Sunday morning. Is anyone carrying any stress in here this morning? No, then it's because I think joining in community is such a wonderful way. So it says simply being as conscious as you can at each moment is a full-time job, because becoming a conscious person is about realizing the full potential of the power of choice. Of all the choices you can make, none are as empowering as the decision of living in a congruent and spiritual way. And so it's it's moment by moment. What choices are we making? What decisions are we making? Am I giving my power to the lack? Maybe lack in the bank account, or lack in relationships, or whatever. Am I giving power to the sickness, or am I choosing to plug into the truth, which there is no sickness? It's all a dream we've made up, and that is the truth. So it says that she gives you a few little principles to practice here. We should only say what we believe and believe what we say. Power originates behind your eyes, not in front of your eyes. Once power becomes visible, it evaporates. True power is invisible. It's that invisible power that dwells within all of us. Thought precedes the creation of matter. So powerful, because what we're running in our thought system over and over and over and over eventually is right out in front of us. So if you want to see this world different out here, we have to reprogram the computer of the mind. Therefore, our thoughts are instruments of creation as much as our words, deeds, and finances. Become conscious about the quality of your thoughts, because each one sets a pattern of cause and effect in motion. Every thought is a tool, and every thought is a prayer. Judgment. It anchors you to the person or thing you judge, making you its servant. Judge others harshly, and you'll become their prisoner. And I can speak from experience on that. Those people that I give all that mind time to, we do become their prisoner. And I offer the suggestion that maybe we offer blessings when we recognize that we're going down that track of judgment towards another. Offer them blessings. Then it's just like we're melting away that cord. And forgiveness is so powerful. Well, this, talking about forgiveness, and I thought this was a great statement from Confucius. And it says, he who cannot forgive others breaks the bridge over which he himself must pass. And so forgiveness, that it all boils down for me, and in the Course's teachings, and I think in the truth of all religions and spiritual concepts, is that forgiveness is where it's at. And forgiveness means that I'm willing to let go of my preconceived notion of how things should be, what spiritual looks like. I'm willing to guard my thoughts and pay attention to where I'm judging myself or others, where I'm in fear. The choices we make are building our next step. In this moment, I'm creating my future. The past is over. I don't have to bring that burden of the past into this present moment. I think the new paradigm for being and living is where we totally forgive and let go of our past. It doesn't hold that noose around us anymore, and that we offer ourselves in this moment to making choices that will raise us all up. And the soul always knows what to do to heal itself. The secret is to silence our minds. And in that stillness, in that quietness, I know Deepak Chopra said years and years ago, and it struck me as so true. And it was in one of his early books. There were two things that I think it was Perfect Health. Two things that struck me. One was that the body regenerates itself, I think every 2 years. Every organ, our skin, everything is restored and renewed every 2 years. So we're growing new bodies, literally. And so what's happening is the reason we're carrying that body into the present moment is because my thought processes haven't shifted with it. So we can restore and renew every organ in our body. It's interesting, and we have to honor each other's belief systems and their choices, and know that they're doing what's right for them. Because a person who believes along the more medical model, to sit there and say you've got to go holistic when their belief system lies over here, ain't going to work. It's probably going to create more problems than good. I know that I was talking to my sister, both of my sisters. One's husband he's had a genetic issue. He has non-alcoholic cirrhosis, fatty liver. And this is a guy who does everything right. You know, he's one of these guys who has a beer on occasion and works out and, you know, just real balanced, goes to church every Sunday. You know, he's a model person. And here he's dealing with this. And so I talked to my sister and I said, Suzanne, I said, I know that it's possible for Lee to grow a new liver. I know that's possible. She goes, well, yeah, he is looking into a liver transplant. And I was like, okay. And then, sure enough, my younger sister called me, Molly, and she said, so what do you know? Because, you know, we didn't want to pressure them too much. They're on their way to go get some other opinions this week. But Molly's like, well, what's going on? And I told her, and I said, but you know, Molly, I said, I know that it's possible to grow a new liver, and he can do that. She goes, oh, is he looking into a liver transplant? I said, I think so, yeah. So I was like, and so it was like, and that's cool, you know? It was like, so yes, that's his path. And so he's congruent to be, you know, his congruency is to go where his thoughts lie and his beliefs lie. So it's really, we have to be really careful not to be so imposing of our beliefs on others and other people's ways of being and choices, because, you know, we're all on our path. So it's really what my goal is to teach everyone to go in, tune in, and listen to their own guidance and be led by that. Holding the ultimate goal for all of us, every person on the planet in the universe, that we are infinite beings of light. We're eternal, we're whole, we're complete, and there's many paths to get to that awareness. Maharishi said that our own self-realization is the greatest service that we can render to the world, and we're all on our own path. Self-realization is a process, and it's found in lots of different ways. People find it in different churches, in nature, through music, through sports, whatever. But self-realization is knowing who we are. It's being awake, knowing that I'm in the world, not of it, that I am a divine being. I'm not this illusion of who I think I am, whatever that may be. So we have to develop that and practice that. You know, self-realization, speaking of that, Yogananda, Paramahansa Yogananda is a huge, I just am so drawn to him. And we actually are in process of, we will be starting in October a Yogananda study class. So that's going to be awesome. And Janice has offered to help me with that, or I've offered to help her. I actually thought she was going to do it. She goes, you are going to help me, aren't you? Okay. So anything we can do to support that light and growth in each other, that's the plan. That's what we're here to do. And I just look out here and there's so many people who do so many wonderful things. I know last night, you know, Aurora's beautiful music, that vibe is very healing. The crop circles, understanding that. I mean, every day I, you know, look at our calendar here and it's fascinating. So we have something for everybody, and everything isn't for everybody. It would be interesting if actually you could come to every class through the week and find congruency there. Some of them don't jive with each other, and that's okay. But it's like you just sort of be led, pay attention, be open-minded, and you'll know exactly where to drop in and maybe not to drop in. So it's really who we are speaks louder than anything we can say. Our life is our ministry. We can preach a better sermon with our lives than with our lips, and never separate the life we live from the words we speak. So it really is, you know, speak what you mean and mean what you say. You know, live from love. I'm just so grateful that, you know, I'm surrounded by so many awesome people who do that, and we support each other in the process. And if I stumble, it's okay. I don't feel like I'm being attacked or judged. And I think the reason that I feel that so much is because when I see others stumble, I'm not in a place of wanting to judge or condemn them. I find it much easier now to go into my heart and say, Holy Spirit, show me how to see the divinity in this person. I don't want to focus on their mistakes or their sins, errors, whatever. So in closing, a great quote from John F. Kennedy, which is, as we express our gratitude, we must never forget But the highest appreciation is not to utter words, but to live from them. And that, my friends, is spiritual congruency. And so it is. Namaste. Namaste.